All right, I'll try to keep this brief. This is to help you make better tables. So let's say I'm using JASP, which popped up over there for some reason, and I do some stuff. So let's get some data in here. I generally, okay, that works. Let's look and see if I have some descriptive statistics I can do. Like, let's see, maybe I'm looking at I don't know, religious fundamentalism is my dependent or y variable, and political affiliation, which is categorical and has 5 values, is my x variable. Does that work? It does. We have, I mean, the smallest group is 28, but that's enough. You can get a good mean from 28. All right, so here's my table. I can't paste this very well into Google Documents, so let's see. If I come over here and I say, okay, let me make a document here. My team's project. Here, let me make it white so it looks more like what you have. Oops, not a figure, it's a table. And so blah, blah, blah. I type some stuff, and then I get to where I'm going to put in a table. Descriptive statistics of, what was it? By if I can spell. So I want these descriptive statistics. So if I do this here, this doesn't usually work. Oh, thank you, Google. So helpful. Yeah, but nothing's happening. Oh, okay. Well, let's pretend that didn't happen. That actually worked. I don't want to use that, though. I had to do paste twice. How odd. I could have worked on it there. How I prefer to work on things is like this. I create a Google Sheet and click somewhere in there. I'll let you be able to see everything, and I do paste. See how that made it all beautiful and whatnot? Let me maximize this. So here's that table. Now you'll notice some things, some stuff got merged. First of all, I don't need to have JASP or descriptive statistics. Everybody knows that. Nobody cares that it was from JASP. I mean, I care, but other people wouldn't. Somewhere in your, if it was a real paper, you'd say JASP. You don't actually need this either, because I did this. I said what each of those things is. I'm going to put a little note explaining the -1, -2, etc., because that's not obvious. So I don't need that either, and that's some merged cells. So that's one of the things that happens. I'm just going to delete that row. I don't need that. Now these things are merged cells. I might not be able to delete this column because part of it's a merged cell. Let's find out. No, it did. Okay. Now you can do Control Y to redo the last thing you did. Select a new row, delete it, new row, delete it. These are empty rows that literally had nothing in them. Okay, now valid and missing. I mean, you can leave missing if you want. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, like somewhere in your paper, like one participant missing from some groups. One participant had missing data for political affiliation or something like that. I'm just going to delete it. I think it takes up space that we don't need. Mean and standard deviation, yeah. And minimum and maximum, I mean, do people know what that means for religious fundamentalism? I suggest they don't, so it just takes up space. It's confusing, doesn't make much sense. Okay, now, if you want to be super professional, you should have a rule, in other words, a line, a horizontal line at the bottom here. But if I delete this, that line's going to go away. I mean, alright, I'll delete, because I don't really need that. I'm just going to do this and put the line back in. I don't think that'll copy into Google. Well, I don't know. It might not copy into Google Sheets or Google Documents. Now, here's a trick. This is looking really good. Here's a trick with Excel or Google Sheets or whatever first of all, highlight columns. If you click here, you just highlight or click into a cell. You're selecting a cell, and you can click into it and edit it. But if you click the D or the E, you click the entire column. Same works for rows. If you click the stuff on this, you select entire rows. Well, I'm going to click and drag across here and have this automatically arrange itself. Oh, how nice. If you double click on the space while some rows are highlighted, then the row to the left or all the rows will become as small as they can be. I think that's maybe a little too small. I have some space on that slide. I'm going to, and when they're all selected and you change the width, it changes the width for everything all at the same time. Now this is kind of a mess. I mean, valid, that's going to be whole numbers. You can put decimal places after it. I mean, I don't think it's necessary or particularly helpful, but let's just go ahead and do that. It's easy. And these are rounded to like 3 decimal places, which I've said, or that's a 2. I've said that don't do that. That's dumped out of JASP. I think 2 decimal places is plenty. There's kind of a rule that you take the original data, the original scores for this are whole numbers, because it's just it's adding up Likert scale stuff, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, -2 through +2, so it was whole numbers, well, some of which are negative. Can those be whole? Maybe. I should ask my kid. They're actually in school learning this right now in middle school. So the original data has 0 decimal places of rounding, or of precision. And so the mean can have like 1 more, the standard deviation can have 2 more, so everything 2 decimal places is plenty. So I'm just going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to choose Format, Number, and you can choose this one that has 2 decimal places. There you go. I'm done. I rounded everything off to 2 decimal places. If you want, you can round these to less than 2 decimal places. I mean, some people think it's nice to line up the decimal places in all columns in your tables. That would be handy. Another thing I'm going to do here, I really would need to tell my readers what -2 and -1 and 0 and 1 and 2 mean. But actually, they don't even have to know that as long as I tell them something better. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now. I'm going to say very liberal, because that's what that meant, and liberal. And I think I called it centrist, which isn't exactly the same thing, but I'm going to put that here for, and then this was conservative, and very conservative. Ooh, I capitalized liberal. I should probably capitalize conservative. Let's be consistent. Okay, now I want these to wrap around a little bit and not just have to make stuff wide. So I'm going to do Format, Wrapping, Wrap. There we go. That's too wide for the word conservative, so I don't want to have to hyphenate that word. I probably have space. Now there we go. Now there is a very nice thing, except it's annoying to me that these are centered. These labels are centered and these are to the right. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to choose to right. Okay. I personally think that looks pretty good, so I can copy that now. Oops. Now I could link it to the spreadsheet. You can do this if you want. Just leave the spreadsheet where it is if you do this. Don't delete it or anything. And then if you change the values on the spreadsheet, it'll automatically change in the document. I'm not going to do that right now because it sounds like something to worry about. That's very nice. It didn't respect my borders, so I could go through and change borders here, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to show you how to do that with ANOVA results as well, which is probably pretty obvious at this point, but let's find out. ANOVA, what did I say? Religious fundamentalism was my outcome variable, and political affiliation was here. There we go. There's my beautiful ANOVA table. I can do the copy here. I can paste it into here somewhere. I'm just going to go. This is a junk spreadsheet that I'm going to throw away anyway. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't need that. Well, I think I'm going to reconsider what I just did here. I'm going to make a new sheet so that I don't have to worry about the other thing that I pasted. I don't need JASP, and I don't need ANOVA for religious fundamentalism, because I can put that in my title. I can say, which is kind of the same as what's above, I can just copy this because the ANOVA is basically the same data arrangement as those descriptive statistics. So that then now I don't need what JASP was helpfully showing me. Oops, let me remember. I'm going back here. It's trying to remind you that's the dependent variable. Well, I just put that in the title, or the title, caption, whatever they call that. So I can delete this. And this stuff's going on here. I can delete that. And there's no point in putting a border. It's just going to put borders everywhere anyway. But I am going to delete these empty things. Control Y. After I do this once, delete column, then Control Y does the same thing to whatever else I select. There we go. I'm ready to go. Oh, I'm not ready to go. So these are whole numbers, so I'm going to leave them alone. But I'm going to do this, format, number, the number that has 2 decimal places. And I can just do this and do Control Y, and I can do that and Control Y. Now this isn't actually a number, it's got that less than in it. So whatever. Anyway, this looks good. This totally works. As long as this is defined, and it actually is here. It says religious fundamentalism, relig fund, political affiliation, p-polit affil. And so that is defined there. Okay. I don't know, I think I want these right aligned to go Control I with everything else. Now, you don't have to write sum of squares. People have been doing this for so long that we have abbreviations, as noted in lectures, SS. I know that means other bad things, but ANOVA is just sum of squares. Although some of the people who invented ANOVA were probably Nazis, honestly. It was Europe in the 19th and early 20th century. So I'm just going to make these a little smaller. I want them so there's a little bit of space between the numbers so the numbers aren't running over each other. And I can paste that. Now, I can leave the p in there. Actually, I was going to tell you something else, but I'm just going to leave the p-value in there. That's just fine. Okay, so I'm going to paste that guy here. You can stop watching anytime you want because you might know what you're doing at this point. Nope, paste unlinked. My cat is headbutting my arm. It doesn't make using a mouse. Come on, buddy. Come on. Up, 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 in the lap. He's thinking about it. He's going to do it. All right, good kitty. He's a very big black kitty. His name is Charlie, and he's very beautiful. Is he smart? Well, he's very beautiful. Let's put it that way. Okay, so we got there. Okay, I could give that a slightly better title, but I'm going to do this anyway just because maybe some people want some guidance on the post hoc thing. So, I mean, I should do post hocs here according to this assignment because look, p is less than alpha. If my alpha was 0.05 or even 0.01, my p-value is less. So I should do my post hoc analyses. And, you know, I could do my descriptives plots. Why don't I do that? I mean, look how easy. I just drag that over there and check error bars. And I can make this a little wider. Yeah, I don't know, that looks pretty good. Now sometimes that copies to Google Sheets, and sometimes it does not. I can't remember. Figure 1. The figures and tables are numbered separately. Okay, that works. Let me see. Control V? Nope. But luckily it's just a picture anyway. Oops. And you can just take pictures of pictures. So let's just do that. I have a screenshot thing. If you're in Windows, you probably know how to do this. This one's called Flame Shot, which I love. You can download it and use it if you want. But Windows comes with one. Mac comes with one. So I'm just going to copy this guy and put it in here. There we go. Doesn't need to be quite that big, but yeah. I mean, we need the text to be about the same size as the text in the paper. Yeah, that works. It can be a little bit smaller if you want. All right, so there's that. But the post hoc results, let's get back to that. Post hoc test, you do the same thing. Just drag your variable over there and leave everything on defaults. So let's see. There's my results. How hideous is that? Now, I've told people you can just copy paste this table, but you do need to talk about the table. You need these results, but check it. We can just do this here. I can go back up here, and let me just make it. I'm going to throw this away anyway, so I'll just put this in here. Post hoc comparisons. I know they're post hoc comparisons. I'm going to delete that again. I'm going to Control Y, delete that row again because the border is going to disappear anyway. I'm going to delete this column, all the empty columns. Sometimes there are columns that just don't matter at all. I'll leave all this stuff in here. I'll do a right align. Maybe I'll wrap that one. Format, wrapping, wrap. Okay, sure, why not? And then I'm going to need to define these. Actually, I'm not. Why don't I just do this? Yeah, okay, and then this was from centrist on down, and this was conservative, and this was just very conservative, and that was liberal. By the way, this way of doing things, of like leaving lines blank when it means the same thing up there above it, that's pretty standard. You don't need to change that. There are different ways that this gets reported, like for the ANOVA. Well, no, I'm not doing that this semester. Good. You don't have to worry about it. Double clicking on these things, but I might want them a little further apart. I don't want them to take up too much space. I want them readable. I don't want them to like crowd everything else out on my slides. And this was centrist, and one was conservative. There we go. Now I don't have to put any notes about -1 and -0. Well, not -0, -1, -2, 0, 1, 2. I don't have to put any notes. So this stuff is just there. And if I'm feeling fancy, I can make all the things that are less than 0.05 bold. There we go. There's a 0.027. Those are all less than 0.01. And let's say my alpha was 0.05, which I told everybody to just use unless you really feel like doing 0.01. So I can copy and paste this and put that, put that in here. Paste unlinked. I'd probably put the means plot above this, honestly, because the means plot is kind of about just the main ANOVA itself, and post hocs are a secondary analysis. They're after the fact, which is what post hoc means in Latin. Now this, I should put a note underneath it that says, that tells people what and I should finish typing that all out. Anyway, this took for a really long time, longer than I thought, but I hope it's helpful.